Antoine Semenyo to Manchester United, breaking down the transfer rumours. Welcome back to United Daily Updates, your go-to source for everything Manchester United. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel where we break down all the latest news, transfer rumours, match analysis, and everything Red Devils. We keep it real, we keep it honest, and we keep you updated with what is actually happening at Old Trafford. Today we are diving deep into one of the most exciting transfer rumours doing the rounds right now. Antoine Semenyo, the Bournemouth forward who has been lighting up the Premier League this season. Multiple reports are linking him with a move to Manchester United, and the rumour mill is spinning faster than ever. Is there any truth to these reports? Would Semenyo actually fit into Ruben Amorim's system? Is he worth the massive price tag Bournemouth are demanding? And most importantly, should Manchester United go all in for this Ghanaian international? We are going to answer all these questions and more in this deep dive. Grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let us break down everything you need to know about the Antoine Semenyo to Manchester United transfer saga. The rumour that has everyone talking. Let me start with what we actually know. According to reports from the Daily Briefing and several other sources, Manchester United have joined the race to sign Antoine Semenyo from Bournemouth. And they are not alone. Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea are all reportedly interested in the 25-year-old forward. Now before we go any further, let me be crystal clear. There is no confirmed deal here. No agreement has been reached. No medicals have been scheduled. What we have are reports of interest. Strong interest, but interest nonetheless. This is not a done deal. This is a developing story, and we are going to treat it as such. But here is why this rumour is gaining so much traction. Semenyo has been absolutely sensational this season. We are talking about a player who has scored 6 goals and provided 3 assists in just 7 Premier League matches. Those are numbers that make any top club sit up and take notice. The reports suggest that Bournemouth would be willing to sell, but they are not going to let their star player go cheaply. The asking price? A cool £100 million. Yes, you read that right. £100 million for a player who was bought from Bristol City for around $10 million just 2 years ago. That is a massive markup. But is it justified? That is what we are here to find out. Who exactly is Antoine Semenyo? Before we talk about whether United should sign him, let us talk about who this guy actually is. Because if you have not been following Bournemouth closely, you might not know much about Antoine Semenyo beyond the headlines. Antoine Semenyo was born in England but represents Ghana at international level. He came through the youth system at Bristol City and spent time on loan at several clubs including Sunderland, Bath City, and Newport County before breaking into the Bristol City first team. He was not an overnight success. This is a player who had to work his way up through the lower leagues. He had to prove himself at every level. And that journey has shaped him into the player he is today. Bournemouth spotted his potential and brought him in during the January transfer window of 2023. The fee was around £10 million, which at the time seemed like a decent bit of business but nothing spectacular. Bournemouth were buying potential more than proven quality. But Semenyo has exceeded all expectations. In his first full season at Bournemouth last year, he scored 11 goals and added 5 assists across all competitions. Those are solid numbers, but not necessarily numbers that would have top clubs circling. This season though? This season he has gone to another level entirely. 6 goals and 3 assists in just 7 Premier League games is the kind of form that gets you linked with the biggest clubs in England. So what has changed? Why has he suddenly become so deadly in front of goal? We will get into that in a bit. But first, let us talk about his playing style and what kind of player Manchester United would be getting if these rumours turn into reality. Breaking down Semenyo's playing style. If you have watched Semenyo play, you will know that he is not your typical modern forward. He does not fit neatly into one category. He is not a pure striker. He is not a traditional winger. He is something in between, and that versatility is one of his biggest strengths. Semenyo is physically imposing. He stands around 6 feet tall and he knows how to use his body. He is strong in duels, good at holding the ball up, and difficult to push off the ball. Defenders struggle to bully him, and that physical presence is a huge asset in the Premier League where the game is fast and physical, but he is not just a battering ram. Semenyo has genuine pace. When he gets running at defenders, he is a nightmare to deal with. He can beat players with his speed, and once he gets into the final third, he is confident taking players on 1 versus 1. His dribbling is actually quite good. He is direct, he is purposeful, and he is not afraid to take risks. Sometimes that means he loses the ball, but more often than not, he creates something dangerous. In modern football, that kind of directness is valuable. Too many attackers play it safe. Semenyo is willing to try the difficult pass or the ambitious dribble. Where he has really improved this season is his finishing. Last season he was getting into good positions but not always converting his chances. This year he is clinical. He is taking his chances with confidence, and that is what has transformed him from a good player into a potential superstar. His movement off the ball has also gotten better. He is finding pockets of space in dangerous areas. He is timing his runs better. He is becoming more intelligent as a player, and at 25 years old, he is entering what should be his prime years. One thing that stands out when you watch him is his work rate. Semenyo does not just wait for the ball to come to him. He presses defenders, he tracks back to help his team, and he is willing to do the dirty work. In a Ruben Amorim team where pressing and intensity are crucial, that work ethic would be valuable. He can play in multiple positions too. He has been used as a right winger, a left winger, a second striker, and even as a central striker. That versatility gives a manager options, and managers love options. But no player is perfect. What are Semenyo's weaknesses? His passing can be inconsistent. He is not always the best decision-maker in the final third. Sometimes he tries to do too much himself when a pass would be the better option. His link-up play can be a bit rough around the edges, but he is also still relatively unproven at the absolute highest level. Playing well for Bournemouth is one thing. Doing it for Manchester United with all the pressure and expectation that comes with that shirt is another thing entirely. These are important considerations. But the talent is clearly there. The potential is obvious. The question is whether Manchester United are the right club to unlock that potential. Why are Manchester United interested? So why would Manchester United want Antoine Semenyo? What is it about him that has apparently caught the eye of the recruitment team and possibly Ruben Amorim himself? Let us start with the obvious. Manchester United need goals. They need attackers who can consistently find the back of the net. Last season was a struggle in front of goal, and while things have improved under Amorim, there is still room for more firepower. Rasmus Højlund is a talented young striker, but he is still developing. He is 21 years old and carrying a huge burden as the main striker at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Having another forward option who can share that goal-scoring responsibility would take pressure off Højlund and give the team more flexibility. Marcus Rashford has been inconsistent. Some games he looks unplayable, other games he disappears completely. United cannot rely on him to be their main goal threat week in and week out. They need more reliable options. Alejandro Garnacho is exciting and full of potential, but he is still young and developing. Again, United need proven goalscorers who can deliver consistently. Semenyo would give them that. He is in the best form of his career right now. He is confident. He is scoring goals. He is creating chances. Those are exactly the qualities United need. But there is more to it than just goals. Ruben Amorim has a specific way of playing. He wants his team to press high. He wants intensity. He wants players who will run for 90 minutes and never stop working. Semenyo fits that profile perfectly. His work rate and willingness to press would make him ideal for Amorim's system. He would not just be a goal threat, he would be part of the defensive structure too. Modern forwards need to defend from the front, and Semenyo does that naturally. His versatility is another factor. Amorim likes to be flexible tactically. He changes formations. He adjusts his approach based on the opponent. Having a forward who can play in multiple positions gives him more tactical options. Semenyo could play as a striker, as a wide forward, or as a second striker. That flexibility is valuable. There is also the Premier League experience factor. Semenyo has been playing in England for his entire career. He knows the league. He knows the physicality. He knows what it takes to succeed in English football. That is not always the case with players coming from abroad. There would be no adaptation period needed. And perhaps most importantly, he is hungry. He has come up through the lower leagues. He has had to fight for everything he has achieved. He is not a player who will be satisfied with just being at a big club. He will want to prove himself. He will want to show everyone that he belongs at this level. That kind of mentality is exactly what Manchester United need right now. Would he fit Amorim's system? This is the big question, is it not? A player can have all the talent in the world, but if he does not fit the manager's system, it does not matter. So let us talk about Ruben Amorim's tactical approach and whether Semenyo would fit into it. Amorim typically plays with three at the back. He uses wing-backs who push high up the pitch. His forwards need to be comfortable playing in a front two or as part of a fluid front three. They need to press aggressively from the front and they need to be comfortable dropping deep to link play. Semenyo ticks a lot of those boxes. His work rate means he would be effective in the pressing system. He would not shirk his defensive responsibilities. Amorim demands that his forwards be the first line of defense, and Semenyo has shown he is willing to do that work. His physicality would be useful in holding the ball up and bringing teammates into play. In Amorim's system, forwards often need to receive the ball with their back to goal, hold off defenders, and lay it off to oncoming midfielders. Semenyo has the strength and technique to do that effectively. His pace would be a weapon on the counter-attack. Amorim's teams often look to win the ball high up the pitch and then break quickly. Having a forward with Semenyo's speed would make those counter-attacks more dangerous. Defenders would have to be aware of his runs in behind. The versatility factor comes into play again here. Amorim likes to change things during games. He might start with one formation and switch to another depending on how the game is going. Having a forward who can adapt to different roles and positions makes those in-game adjustments easier. Where there might be some concern is in the technical aspects of the game. Amorim's teams typically play possession-based football. They look to build from the back and work the ball through the lines. Forwards in his system need to be comfortable receiving the ball in tight spaces and playing quick one-touch passes. Semenyo's passing and first touch can be a bit inconsistent at times. He is more effective when he has space to run into rather than when he is operating in congested areas. That could be a potential issue, but it is also something that could improve with coaching and experience. Another consideration is how he would fit alongside Højlund. Would they work well together as a partnership? Højlund is more of a traditional number 9 who likes to play on the shoulder of the last defender. Semenyo is more versatile and can drop deeper or go wide. In theory, they could complement each other well. Højlund could occupy the central defenders while Semenyo attacks from wider areas or makes late runs into the box. The truth is, we would not know for sure how well he would fit until we actually see him in a United shirt playing in Amorim's system. But on paper, there are definitely reasons to believe it could work. The attributes are there. The mentality seems right. It would just be a question of him adapting to the specific demands of how Amorim wants to play. The competition. Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea also interested. Here is where things get interesting. Manchester United are not the only big club interested in Antoine Semenyo. According to reports, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea are all monitoring his situation as well. And that makes sense when you look at what each of those clubs need. Liverpool are going through a transition period. They have some aging forwards and they will need to refresh their attack in the coming windows. Semenyo's pace and directness would fit Liverpool's style of play. They love forwards who can stretch the pitch and get in behind defenses. Semenyo could do that. Arsenal need more depth in attack. They are challenging for the title, but they lack options off the bench when it comes to forwards. If Gabriel Jesus or Kai Havertz are not performing, Mikel Arteta does not have many alternatives. Semenyo would give them another option and his physicality would be useful against teams that sit deep and defend. Chelsea are in the market for pretty much everyone, it seems. They have spent enormous amounts of money on young talent and they are still looking to add more. Semenyo fits their profile of young, high-potential players who could develop into stars. So Manchester United would be competing against some serious rivals if they decide to pursue this deal. And that competition could drive the price up even higher. When multiple big clubs want the same player, the selling club has all the leverage. Bournemouth know they are in a strong position. They do not need to sell. Semenyo is under contract. He is their best player and he is crucial to their hopes of staying in the Premier League. They can afford to hold out for maximum value. That is why the reported asking price is £100 million. Bournemouth are basically saying, if you want our best player, you are going to have to pay through the nose for him. And they have every right to take that stance. For Manchester United, the question becomes whether they are willing to get into a bidding war. Do they want Semenyo badly enough to potentially overpay? Or would they rather look at alternative targets who might be available for less money? These are the decisions that the recruitment team and the manager will have to make. And they are not easy decisions. Miss out on a player who goes on to be brilliant for a rival and you will be criticized. Overpay for a player who does not work out and you will also be criticized. There is no guaranteed right answer here. What United do have in their favor is the pulling power of the club itself. Yes, they have not been winning trophies consistently in recent years, but it is still Manchester United. It is still one of the biggest clubs in world football. Players grow up dreaming of wearing that shirt. That counts for something. If Semenyo is given the choice between United and the other interested clubs, there is a good chance he would choose United. But only if United actually make a serious offer and show they really want him. The £100 million question. Let us address the elephant in the room. £100 million. That is a staggering amount of money for any player, let alone someone who was playing in the Championship just a few years ago. Is Antoine Semenyo worth £100 million? That is the question everyone is asking. And the honest answer is, probably not. Not based on what he has done so far in his career. Yes, he is having a fantastic season. Yes, his numbers are impressive. But we are still only talking about 7 games. 7 games of excellent form does not necessarily mean a player is worth £100 million. For context, that is the kind of money you pay for genuine world-class talents. Players who have proven themselves at the highest level over multiple seasons. Players who have performed in the Champions League. Players who have won major trophies. Semenyo has not done any of that yet. He has 7 good games in the Premier League for Bournemouth. That is a very different thing from being a £100 million player. So why are Bournemouth asking for that much? Because they can. Because they know that Premier League clubs have enormous amounts of money. Because they know that if they can get even half of that asking price, it would be incredible business for them. It is also a negotiating tactic. You start high knowing that you will probably end up selling for less. If Bournemouth are asking for 100 million, they might accept 70 or 80 million. That is still a huge amount of money, but it is more realistic than 100 million. For Manchester United, this is where smart negotiation comes in. They cannot just throw money around like they have done in the past. Those days of panic buying and overpaying need to be over. The club needs to be smarter in the transfer market. If United are serious about Semenyo, they need to do their homework. They need to scout him thoroughly. They need to be sure he fits what they need. And then they need to negotiate hard to get a fair price. Paying 100 million would be madness. But paying something in the region of 50 to 60 million? That might actually be reasonable if they believe he can develop into a top player. That is the kind of money United have paid for young forwards with potential before. The other consideration is what else they could do with £100 million. Could they sign 2 good players for that money instead of 1? Could they strengthen multiple positions rather than just attack? These are the strategic decisions that separate well-run clubs from poorly run clubs. It is not just about identifying talented players. It is about smart allocation of resources. It is about getting value for money while still improving the squad. My personal opinion? Semenyo is a good player with real potential, but 100 million is too much. If United can get him for significantly less than that, it could be smart business. If not, they should look elsewhere. Comparing Semenyo to current United forwards. To really understand whether Semenyo would be a good signing, we need to compare him to what Manchester United already have. How does he stack up against the current forwards at the club? Let us start with Rasmus Højlund. The Danish striker is 21 years old and cost United around £72 million from Atalanta. He is a pure number 9. He is excellent at running the channels, he is good in the air, and he has a natural eye for goal. But he is still raw. He is still learning. He goes through patches where he struggles to get service and looks isolated. Semenyo is different from Højlund. He is more versatile. He can play wider. He can drop deeper. He is better at creating chances for himself rather than relying on service. In some ways, they could complement each other well. But in other ways, you wonder if United need 2 young, developing forwards or if they need 1 proven goalscorer. Then there is Marcus Rashford. On his day, Rashford is one of the best forwards in the Premier League. His pace is electric, his finishing can be clinical, and he has that X-factor ability to produce moments of magic. But consistency has been his issue. For every brilliant performance, there are 2 or 3 where he is anonymous. Semenyo is more consistent than Rashford right now. He might not have the same peak level, but his floor is higher. He shows up every week. He works hard every week. For a manager, that reliability is valuable. You know what you are getting with Semenyo, whereas with Rashford it is a bit of a lottery. Alejandro Garnacho is the exciting young talent. He has pace, skill, and fearlessness. At just 20 years old, he has already shown he can produce on the big stage. But he is still very raw. His decision-making needs work. His end product needs to improve. He is one for the future rather than the present. Semenyo is 4 or 5 years older than Garnacho and much more developed as a player. He would be more of an immediate impact signing rather than one for the future. United need both types of players, but right now they probably need more players who can contribute immediately. Then there are players like Antony and Amad Diallo who can play in attacking positions. Antony has been a huge disappointment since his big money move from Ajax. He offers very little end product and has struggled badly to adapt to English football. Diallo has talent but has spent most of his United career injured or on loan. Compared to those two, Semenyo would be a significant upgrade. He is more proven. He is more consistent. He offers more of a goal threat. It would not even be a close comparison, so where does that leave us? I would say Semenyo would improve Manchester United's attack. He would give them more options. He would give them more goals. He would give them a player who works hard and fits the intensity that Amorim wants. Would he be a guaranteed starter? That is harder to say. It would depend on form, on tactics, on what Amram wants for specific games. But he would certainly be a regular contributor and someone who could make a real impact. The question is whether that impact justifies the enormous transfer fee Bournemouth are demanding. That is the calculation United need to make. What do the stats actually tell us? Let us dig into some numbers because statistics can be revealing. They do not tell the whole story, but they give us objective data to work with. This season in 7 Premier League appearances, Semenyo has 6 goals and 3 assists. That is 9 direct goal contributions in 7 games. Those are elite-level numbers. To put that in perspective, that is better than what most of the top forwards in the league are producing right now. His expected goals number this season is also high, which tells us he is getting into good positions regularly. He is not just scoring from lucky deflections or penalties. He is creating genuine chances for himself. Last season across all competitions, he had 11 goals and 5 assists in 45 appearances. Those numbers are solid but not spectacular. It shows he is capable of contributing over a full season, but there is definitely room for improvement. His shot accuracy has improved dramatically this season. Last year he was shooting a lot but not always hitting the target. This year he is being more selective and more clinical. That improvement in decision-making and finishing is what has taken him to another level. In terms of his all-around game, he averages decent numbers for dribbles completed, showing that he is effective at taking on defenders 1 versus 1. His pass completion rate is okay but not outstanding, which reflects what we see when watching him. He is not a player who keeps the ball well in tight spaces. His pressing numbers are good. He makes plenty of pressures in the attacking third, which shows he is willing to work hard off the ball. For a team like Manchester United that wants to press high under Amram, that is important. When you look at his stats compared to other forwards in the Premier League, he is performing at a level similar to players who cost much more than the 10 million Bournemouth paid for him. That is why the asking price has skyrocketed. But here is the thing about statistics. They need context. Semenyo is playing in a Bournemouth team that is set up to get the best out of him. He is the main man. He takes most of the shots. He gets most of the opportunities. Would those numbers translate if he moved to Manchester United where there are more talented players and the spotlight is much brighter? That is the unknown. Some players thrive when they step up to a bigger club. Others struggle with the pressure and expectations. Statistics cannot tell us which category Semenyo would fall into. What the stats do tell us is that right now, in this moment, he is performing at a very high level. The goals are real. The assists are real. The performances are real. Whether that form continues is the gamble that any buying club would be taking. The Ghanaian connection and international performance. One aspect of Semenyo's profile that does not get talked about as much is his international career. He represents Ghana despite being born in England, and his performances for the Black Stars are worth examining. Semenyo made his Ghana debut in 2023 and has since become a regular for the national team. Playing international football gives us another data point to evaluate him because it is a different level from club football. It shows how he handles big occasions and whether he can perform when representing his country. His performances for Ghana have been decent but not spectacular. He has shown the same qualities that he shows at club level. Hard work, pace, physicality, and a goal threat. But he has not set the world alight at international level yet. Some of that might be because Ghana have been going through a difficult period. They failed to qualify for the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations, which was a major disappointment. It is hard to shine individually when the team as a whole is struggling. But it is worth noting that playing for Ghana means Semenyo has experience in high-pressure matches. He has played World Cup qualifiers. He has faced top African nations. He has dealt with the pressure of representing his country. That experience would serve him well if he were to move to a club like Manchester United. From a commercial and fan engagement perspective, signing Semenyo could also be positive for Manchester United. Ghana is a football-mad nation with millions of passionate fans. Having a Ghanaian player at the club would strengthen United's connection to West Africa and could help grow the brand in that region. That might sound cynical, but it is a reality of modern football. Big clubs think about these things. Having players from different countries helps you connect with fans in those countries. It is good for business. More importantly though, Semenyo has shown he can handle representing a nation and dealing with that pressure. Not every player can do that. Some players struggle with the demands of international football. The fact that Semenyo has become a regular for Ghana suggests he has the mentality to handle pressure situations. The risk factor, what could go wrong? Every transfer carries risk, and a potential move for Semenyo would be no different. Let us talk about what could go wrong if Manchester United were to sign him. The most obvious risk is that his current form is just a purple patch. 7 games is a small sample size. He could be having the best run of his career, and it might not continue. If United pay a huge fee based on 7 games of brilliance and then he regresses to his previous level, that would be a disaster. We have seen this before with players who have great half-seasons and then disappear. Remember when Mishu was tearing up the Premier League for Swansea? Everyone wanted to sign him. Then he fell off a cliff performance-wise. Now that is an extreme example, but it illustrates the point. Form can be temporary. Another risk is the step-up in pressure and expectations. Playing for Bournemouth where you are the main man and there is relatively little pressure is very different from playing for Manchester United. At United, every mistake is scrutinised. Every bad game leads to criticism. Not every player can handle that. Some players crumble under that pressure. Others thrive on it. We would not know which category Semenyo falls into until he actually experiences it. His personality seems strong and he appears confident, but you never really know until someone is tested. There is also the injury risk. Semenyo has been relatively injury-free so far in his career, but no player is immune. United have had terrible luck with injuries in recent years. What if they spend a fortune on Semenyo and he gets a serious injury in his first few months? That would be catastrophic. The tactical fit is another potential issue. As I mentioned earlier, while Semenyo seems like he would fit Amorim's system, there are no guarantees. What if the manager tries him and decides he does not fit? What if his weaknesses become more exposed at a higher level? These are real possibilities. Then there is the opportunity cost. If United spend 70 or 80 or 100 million on Semenyo, that is money they cannot spend on other positions. What if it turns out they needed a midfielder or defender more urgently? What if there is a better attacking option that becomes available later but they have already spent their budget? The competition from other clubs is another factor. If Liverpool or Arsenal or Chelsea also make strong offers, Semenyo might choose them instead. United could waste time and effort pursuing a deal only to lose out to a rival. Finally, there's always the risk that Bournemouth simply refuse to sell. They could dig their heels in and say no amount of money will make them sell their best player mid-season. That would leave United having pursued a target unsuccessfully, which always looks bad. These risks do not mean United should not go for Semenyo. Every transfer has risks. The key is whether the potential reward justifies the risk. That is the judgment call the club has to make. Alternative targets. Who else could United sign? If the Semenyo deal does not happen or if United decide the asking price is too high, what are the alternatives? Let us look at some other forwards who might be realistic targets. One name that keeps coming up is Victor Osimhen from Napoli. The Nigerian striker is a proven goalscorer at the highest level. He has scored goals in Serie A and the Champions League. He is powerful, fast, and clinical. But he would also cost a fortune, probably even more than Semenyo. And Napoli would be very difficult to negotiate with. Jonathan David from Lille is another option. The Canadian forward has been consistently scoring goals in France. He is quick, intelligent, and has a good record at international level. He would probably be cheaper than Semenyo and represents good value. But there are questions about whether he is physical enough for the Premier League. Ivan Toney from Brentford was heavily linked with moves to big clubs last year. He is a proven Premier League goalscorer with good all-around play. He can hold the ball up, he can finish, and he can create for others. But he is 28 years old now, so there would not be much resale value. And he has not been in great form this season. Dominic Calvert-Lewin from Everton is another English option. When fit, he is an excellent target man who is strong in the air and good at leading the line. But his injury record is terrible. He seems to be constantly sidelined, which makes him a risky option. From abroad, there are players like Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig or Lois Openda also from Leipzig. Both are young, talented forwards who have been scoring goals in the Bundesliga and Champions League. They would fit the profile of young, high-potential players. But they would not be cheap and they are unproven in the Premier League. What about someone like Marcus Thuram from Inter Milan? He is in his prime years, he is physical, he can play in multiple positions, and he has been excellent in Italy. But convincing Inter to sell would be difficult and expensive. Each of these alternatives has pros and cons. Some are safer bets but more expensive. Some are cheaper but more risky. Some have injury concerns. Some would need time to adapt to English football. Compared to all these options, Semenyo has some advantages. He is already performing in the Premier League, so there is no adaptation period needed. He is in great form right now. He is young enough to improve but experienced enough to contribute immediately. He fits the physical profile of what you need in England. The disadvantage is the asking price and the fact that his track record is shorter than some of these other options. United need to weigh all these factors and decide which option makes the most sense for them. There is no perfect answer. Every choice involves compromise. What would Semenyo bring to the dressing room? Football is not just about what happens on the pitch. The dressing room atmosphere matters. Team chemistry matters. Mentality matters. So what would Antoine Semenyo bring to Manchester United's dressing room? Based on what we know about him, Semenyo seems like a humble, hard-working guy. He has not come from a privileged background. He has had to fight for every opportunity. He has played in the lower leagues. He knows what it is like to struggle and have to prove yourself. That kind of background often creates players with strong character. Players who do not take anything for granted. Players who appreciate the opportunity to play at the highest level. That mentality can be infectious in a dressing room. Manchester United need more of that. They need players who are hungry, who want to prove themselves, who will fight for the shirt. Too often in recent years, United have had players who seemed comfortable just collecting their wages without really pushing themselves. Semenyo would not be that type of player. His performances for Bournemouth show he gives everything every single game. He works hard. He runs himself into the ground. He does not hide when things are difficult. That work ethic would set a good example for younger players at United. It would show them what is required to succeed at this level. It would raise standards. He also seems like someone who would embrace the challenge of playing for Manchester United. Some players get overwhelmed by the size of the club. Semenyo strikes me as someone who would relish the opportunity. He seems confident without being arrogant. He backs himself. In terms of personality, he seems relatively quiet and unassuming off the pitch. He lets his football do the talking. That is not a bad thing. United have had plenty of big personalities over the years. Sometimes you need players who just get on with their job without drama. One potential concern is how he would fit into the existing dressing room dynamics. Would he mesh well with the current players? Would he be accepted by the core group? These are questions that are difficult to answer from the outside, but they matter. Usually when players move clubs, there is an adjustment period socially as well as tactically. The best case scenario is that Semenyo would come in, work hard, perform well, and quickly earn the respect of his teammates. The worst case scenario is that he struggles to fit in and becomes isolated. Based on everything we know about him, the first scenario seems more likely. But you never really know until it happens. The financial side, can United afford this? Let us talk about the financial realities. Manchester United are rich.